now it's time for me to quickly move on to a very promising panel discussion, which is going to be happening right now for all of you guys. And it is on the topic which is called Merging Legacy with Innovation, Paving the Way for the Next Business Evolution. So let's welcome all of the eminent panelists who are going to be taking over this stage. I request Mr. Gappan Annamalai to kindly join us on stage, the director from MAL Group, a family business portfolio. Mr. Annamalai is an alumnus of the Ohio State University and helms MAL Group's diverse operations across real estate, manufacturing, trading, plantations, and education. He has worked with prestigious companies such as AOL, Time Warner, GE Genpact, and has deep expertise in analytics, consulting, strategy, and the internet, mobile, and media industries. Let's welcome him with a big round of applause. Please join us on stage. And next up, we have Mr. Satish, Grampurohit, co-founder and CEO of Cogniquest. Well, he's a corporate leader with 29 years of experience. He spent 25 years at Infosys, where he rose from a campus hire to global head of delivery for the insurance vertical. Mr. Grampurohit is also an advisory council member for IIIT Bangalore and Wellington Institute of Management, and he also advises the Beyond Bangalore initiative under KDEM, which is the Karnataka Digital Economy Mission. Let's have the biggest round of applause and a very, very warm welcome to you, sir. And joining them, let's welcome Ms. Sheetal Jain, co-founder and CEO from LeRemitt, to take over the stage with over 25 years of experience in the financial services and fintech sectors. She is an institution in herself in the financial domain. Let's welcome Ms. Sheetal Jain. A very, very warm welcome to you. We meet again. Well, I recently did an event for them, so it's so nice to see you. Welcome. And up next, let's welcome Mr. Amit Kulkarni, the Director of Finance and Investor Relations. Fireside Ventures, Mr. Kulkarni is a finance leader with over 15 years of experience and the recipient of the CFO 100 Awards. Mr. Kulkarni heads the finance function at Fireside, and in his role at Fireside, along with finance, he also leads investor relations and legal functions. Let's welcome him with a big round of applause. And lastly, we are going to be having our proud moderator who's going to be taking over the stage. We are pleased to have Mr. Khushroo Panthaky, Senior Partner at Walker, Chandiok & Co. LLP. While he is a seasoned chartered accountant with an illustrious career spanning nearly 4 decades and have moderated multiple panels in his career. His tenure with a renowned international accounting firm in New York, specializing in auditing global insurance giants, has significantly enriched his professional acumen. Let's have all of you guys please get seated. Thank you so much. And I'll quickly tell you there are 2 topics, where the topic 1 is called Industry Macro View, which is going to be happening for the first 25 minutes and which will be followed by the topic 2, which is Step Ahead Towards Innovation and Growth, for the next 25 minutes. So over to the moderator, Khushroo sir, over to you, and let's have the biggest round of applause, everybody.
Thank you very much for the introduction, and indeed a pleasure to moderate such a distinguished panel. Good evening to all of you. And as the introductions have been done of the so-called very diversified individuals who are sitting over here, I was just thinking about the organizations that they represent, the organizations that they come here from. And I completely believe that directly or indirectly, although they are very highly diversified, they actually contribute to making of a vibrant India. And as they will be narrating their experiences, I'm positive that you would agree with me that their organizations really shape a much vibrant India as well. I wouldn't want to now go into much of what they are doing, because it will be their opportunity to speak a little bit about it. So I just deep dive straight into the question. I think my first question is to Amit. Amit, you represent Fireside Ventures. If somebody looks at the website, it says champions of the new age brands. It also says lives and breeds the new age brands as well. When I read that, when I go through the website, it talks about investments which are being made in 3 different fronts, ticket size of about 10 crores to 14 crores each, total investment of about 3,000 crores. At the same time, technology, cutting edge technology, playing a very vital role in making these investments as well. So maybe I think for the benefit of our audience over here, you may be just elaborating a little more about what it's doing, how has been the growth journey, and how it's been transforming.
Hi, you're able to hear me, right? Yeah, so Fireside Ventures is a early stage venture capital fund. We invest in consumer companies which are just about launched or early revenues. We started way back in 2016-17 time frame. This was an era where there were not too many brands born out of India. Amazon, Flipkart, the marketplaces were just about to launch, just about scaling up at that point in time. And Kavaljit Singh, who was one of our founding partners, found this as a great opportunity for consumer brands to start out of India, because retail and distribution used to be the biggest challenge for any consumer brand. The large multinationals used to have a lot of capital to make this happen, but with e-commerce being available in India, this was a big moat for new age consumer brands to start off with. Along with this, the other change which happened was there's a lot of digital adoption in terms of social media which was happening. So the companies at that point in time, the large brands used to do what you call ATL marketing and BTL marketing, which is large brand campaigns. Today you see it in IPL, and earlier it used to be in, let's say, World Cups, etc., and big hoardings and all of that. But it used to lead to a lot of wasted capital, because you were marketing to say a whole family for a product which was suitable just for one family person, right? There are separate demographics which are suitable for a particular product. All of these brand campaigns used to be a lot of waste of that capital. With media like Facebook and Google, etc., you were able to do targeted marketing, which led to much more capital efficiency in these businesses, and you could create large businesses which were focused in their approach of how do they target to a consumer and build innovative brands out of India. So that's the large background about who we are as Fireside. Just to give you an instance, way back in 2010 time frame, this is when social media was just about coming onto India, and I remember I was studying for my CA those days, and someone in one of my friends showed me this thing called GPRS at that point in time, and I was like amazed that I could open Facebook on my mobile. Today we are able to watch OTT 4K content. That's how much technology has transformed in all of our lives. And across the last 8 years of Fireside's existence, I have seen this happening multiple folds and multiple times. When we started, e-commerce was such a large thing. Today, while that continues to exist, in between we saw omni-channel becoming a very large play, where both online and offline came together in a very, very smooth and efficient manner to increase consumer experience. And very recently, and Mr. Rajiv Gowda just mentioned earlier, quick commerce, right? That is disrupting how commerce happens in India today. While all of us have our own question about its existence, but the adoption is showing why it will exist and why it will thrive. So that's about what I had.
Thank you, Amit. Absolutely right, because when about 10 to 15 years back, somebody was telling me that your cell phone will do everything for you, I couldn't believe. And today it's a reality as well. Thank you for sharing that perspective. Shifting gears to Sheetal now. Sheetal, as you are aware, you are leading this venture called LeRemitt. It's a cross-border trade platform for the MSMEs. In the current union budget, the finance minister did announce a credit guarantee cover for the MSMEs, and I think they have encouraged them a lot, including the startups as well. My knowledge was not right when I checked. I was quite shocked, and she will share with you, there are a few crores of MSMEs in India, and 45% of these MSMEs actually contribute to the exports of our country as well. So what does your organization actually focus in relation to its endeavors and some of these MSMEs? And maybe one case study, if you could just sort of share with over here, so that people would be aware about a real life example as well. Thank you.
Yeah, that's quite a long question. I hope we have that, because I could hear 3 questions in that. One is on the stats, so let me start from there itself. And then what we do, and then the case study. Yeah. So with respect to stats, yes, you are right. There are Indian business landscape is 6.3 crore entities, and I can just throw stats like that, but obviously out of that, if you talk about just numbers, 25,000, not more than 25,000 companies have turnover more than 250 crore. Is that shocking? Barely. 25,000 company out of 6.3 crore entities have turnover more than 250 crores. That's about it. So the entire segment that is out there is actually MSMEs itself. Though we have increased their revenue size, we call them at 500 crore now, MSMEs. But having said that, 90% of them are still micro itself. So India has not been able to produce large companies because, of course, there have been challenges across, which we will not go into. But if you look at, I will shift the gears, that was on the broad stats side, but if I shift the gears to exports now, in the merchandise exports, about $450 billion of merchandise exports, 48% comes from these MSMEs. And if you talk of the numbers, we have been able to produce 4 lakh to 5 lakh of these MSMEs who contribute to the 48%, which is almost $200 billion of exports. Can we take this base of 4 lakh to 40 lakh? And can we make these 4 lakh companies ready to scale? Is what LeRemitt does. Exactly. So what we do is we are a cross-border trade platform, which enables the exporters to be scale ready, to be compliance ready. And the challenge in exports is it's not unlike domestic. It is not about just two parties, it is multiple parties which actually bring one export together. So any exporter is at any point in time burdened with coordinating with all these parties and also putting together the compliance documents together. So it's a very challenging world for him out there. So what we do is we orchestrate the entire documentation, compliance, payments, financing for him so that he can basically just focus on getting his customers and focusing on exports. And I strongly believe, Khushroo, that while all these years our story was on domestic world itself, on our domestic consumption, domestic growth, it's the next wave of growth. Exports is needed, and government has put together a $1 trillion of export target by 2030, which is just merchandise, and then another $1 trillion of service exports. So this is not going to happen unless technology supports. You have to make sure that you have to weave through the challenges which the exporter faces. And I'll just add one more thing before I just move to the third part of your question, which is while you rightly pointed out that they have given the credit guarantee schemes and they're actually bringing about a lot of systems in place. A number of systems are coming up. They are digitizing the entire ICE gate, which is your customs portal has been digitized. Bankers Word quite a bit has been digitized, but CHAs have digitized a little bit. But what is happening is all of these are disparate systems. So systems are disparate and none of them is weaving together. So the burden of all that is at the exporter end, and that end is not weaved. So unless we actually enable him to be able to seamless weave through all these 3-4 systems, only then we will be able to move to the next level. And then the last challenge will remain is to find the buyer for him. And that's what we do at LeRemitt to make him scale ready and compliance ready completely. To give you now the last part of your question on a success story, I have while we deal with, I have customers from 3 crore of turnover going up to 600 crore turnover, but one of the exporters who had multiple challenges on they are importing, they are exporting, they have multiple factories, and they have advanced authorization licenses which they need to manage and track against their import and export, which which is all happening manually, by the way. So, and when you have import, you have export. across different ports, the documents coming and multiple factories. Documents are hitting different factories, different people, different systems, and they are all at different place. But when you have to file your compliances, that means multiple people are looking at it and multiple people are moving the documents to and fro here and there, and which is what was happening with them. And of course, all the tracking which they were doing was all manual. One query from DGFT took away 1 week of their time. They were just collating the papers to just put together all the paperwork, all the responses that DGFT has asked. So after implementing our platform, all the documents that they have are all at one place, easily retrievable, and compliance trackers are all automated for them, and they are able to generate the new templates that they require, everything out there for them. And that was the great success story that this company is very much in Bangalore currently. And yeah, so they're about 200-250 crore company which has gone ahead and utilized our platform.
Great.
Yeah.
Actually, I think that concludes saying that, an effective and an efficient digitalized digitalized documentation system that you actually enable. And very interesting statistics, because you did mention about 6.5 crore of MSMEs, out of which only 25,000 MSMEs have a top line of an average of about 250
yeah,
crores.
Out of 6.3 crore entities,
Yeah.
only 20 lakhs have ever been companies. Out of it, not all of them are active also. And out of these companies, which is, and out of which companies only will actually go ahead and become 250 crores. So you have only 25,000 companies approximately that have a turnover more than 250 crores.
But I'm seeing that particular upside potential in the next 5-6 years.
Absolutely.
And this is something which is going to be one of the fundamental pillars of growth and multiplying our GDP as well, and putting India in a very different position and ranking.
Absolutely. And the growth is going to come from
Absolutely.
these MSMEs itself. Yeah.
And that's the aspiration for a 35 trillion economy, where MSMEs will play an important role. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Appreciate. Shifting gears now, I come to Satish. Satish, you actually lead Cogniquest, which is basically an AI company. What I understand is, of course, it's a content-aware artificial intelligence platform capturing key data points. So actually, when you go to the document, especially very important for professionals who have got documents running into 200, 300 pages, what is very important, what is the relevance, and what needs to be done further. Needless to mention, I think AI plays a very important role, but even AI will have to be continuously evolving to maintain its momentum as well. So maybe if you could share what the company is doing and how it enables better documentation.
I think Sheetal mentioned about the problems that the companies face doing documentation. If the documentation is not done correctly, on the receiving side, there are a lot of challenges going through that document, verifying that and getting information out of that. It's a big industry, not only in the trading space, but across all the industries. So I come from Infosys. Before I started Cogniquest, I have been with Infosys for about 25 years, working with the banking, financial services, insurance sectors. In fact, the topic here is of legacy. I just want to deviate a bit and talk about the legacy that Infosys created, right? So in fact, I joined there as a fresher right at the college. We were just about 500 people. I went into a building and I see that it is a big imposing building because I come from a very small town. And over the next 25 years, I could see thousands of such buildings in Infosys across different centers in India. So that is the kind of scale that the company built from a 500 people company when I joined to 250,000 people company when I quit. I have actually seen the legacy being built, and that has been one of the things that was kind of playing on my mind, that there should be more and more such companies that should be built in India. And if not of that scale, at least if we can get to a good set of companies which can kind of build brands from India for the global market. So that kind of was playing in my mind all the time. But see, we are all kind of jailed in the corporate world by having that cushion of monthly income coming in, right? So I keep telling people that the comfort of having a monthly income is the biggest hurdle for anybody to get out of that and start something. And it took a long time for me to really think that I am financially secure and I can take the risk and do something. So COVID was a big, I think, disruptor in some ways. It helped introspect, retrospect, and kind of create that detachment from the company, right? Every day you walk into a company, come out of the company, all that you think of is that company. This virtual connect, etc., also helped to think outside the box and think of the world outside of Infosys. So it helped me take a plunge after 25 years, despite all the trepidations of not being employed. I took a plunge and started getting into the startup world. And I didn't want to just start something on the laurels of my corporate world. So I started working with startups as an advisor, helping them, helping the founder as a founder buddy or a sounding board, and ended up investing my investment into the startups wherever I found the integrity of the founder was good, because in the startup world the biggest risk investment into the startups wherever I found the integrity of the founder was good, because in the startup world the biggest risk investors have is on integrity and the capability of the founding team. So wherever I found it was good, I also helped my friends to invest. So eventually I ended up becoming a lead investor of a syndicate of about 50 angels, although I'm not a formal lead investor. So we've invested in very diverse set of startups, which I hope some days they will give business to IIFL from an IPO perspective. So in the process I was always toying with my idea, and I wanted to get comfortable in the startup world. When I found that I'm now ready to start something, I had met a set of co-founders who had a very, what I can say, mutually exclusive and collectively exhaustive kind of skills. So we kind of came together to build Cogniquest. Our whole objective is to build a platform from India which can help the global enterprises simplify this whole the challenge of dealing with documents. Not in terms of generation, I'm assuming that LeRemitt is more of the document generation part. We are on the document analysis part, because about 60 to 80% of the enterprise data lies outside of the databases. So today, if you look at all the analytics, that analytics is done on the data that is in the databases. In fact, there is so much of data outside of the databases which is not all mined. And our objective is to help enterprises deal with that. So that's a long story about Cogniquest. I just deviated a bit to bring the story along.
No, thank you. Actually, I think when it comes to artificial intelligence, including myself, many of us get very confused. On the social media, you do not know whether the picture is genuine or is being created out of artificial intelligence. While I'm very much tempted to ask you the second question, but I'll keep it for the second round in terms of the 3 minutes. Again, shifting gears, and now we're coming straight to the theme of this particular session, which is family businesses, the legacy businesses, transforming into digitalized businesses. We have Gappan over here, who has been a part of a family business which is about 75 years old. I'm sure most of the things they would have done is absolutely right, because today also they are successfully surviving, and they have transformed as well from a zero computerized or zero technology business into a business which has got a tech platform in tourism and travels as well. So maybe some of your insights into what role you have been playing to sort of bridge that gap between the orthodox businesses and the contemporary businesses and the digitalization of some of these contemporary businesses.
Yeah, thank you, Khushroo. I think family business is very, very different. We feel that we're very unique. But when you come and talk to many family businesses, you realize that they're all very similar. I think Mr. Vikram was talking earlier today about his family business, and you'll always see that a family business is always into multiple verticals. It's never just one vertical. How ours came together, my grandfather's vision of backward integration. He was a silk trader living in Chettinad, which is our hometown. He moved to Bangalore. His sons were growing up. He wanted to be a part of India's industrialization. So he sent one of his sons to Japan to train in silk technology. And later my dad also went to Japan to train in packaging. Both of them eventually came back to India. They have 15 years between them. So they got exposed to two different decades of technology and innovation in Japan. They came back to India, set up industry. From the stories I hear, it's the grind. Hard work, long hours, dedication. And I think these businesses were built on very, very strong foundations. Not like how startups today are. They believed in honesty. They believed in integrity. They believed in producing very, very high quality. They valued customers. And when you look at fundamentals of business, this is where the platforms get created. And I think today what we're really doing, somewhere down the line, our first company that they started was Silk. It was Chamundi Silks. From there, they started, adding on more companies to complement this. Started packaging to package the silk. Then the silk textiles needed bobbins, so they started injection molding. Injection molding needed plastic, so they started a plastic trading firm. So when each of these businesses started, I think they were just dependent on the parent company. Today, many of these have kind of evolved into small businesses, mid-sized businesses themselves. And what we're doing today is just trying to grow them. Yes, there was a big challenge in terms of innovation. I think I've been in corporate, I've been in startups. Family businesses are completely different. You have to forget what you did over there and focus on the fundamentals. It's very different because when you're a startup, you're going to different fund houses like Fireside Ventures, who wouldn't open the door to you. You would knock on maybe 180 investors' doors, and everyone will say, good job, but wouldn't show you the money. And the idea is great, the product is great, everything is great, you just need the money lined up, and nobody's willing to trust you. But in a family business, things are totally different. Now you have the legacy, you have the trust. You don't need money from venture. You don't want PE coming and controlling your company. So it's a very different play. Suddenly it's like a startup with traction, with money, with everything. Your parents willing to fund you, banks willing to fund you, and now it's all about just conquering the market. And I think what we're doing is we're just trying to grow that legacy. We're not trying to do anything different. We're just trying to make all the companies come together and just don't do anything different.
Thank you, Gappan. I think I completely agree with your perspective. However, if you ask me, I have been in this profession for about 40 years. I've seen private equities investing. I can tell you one thing, very honestly, that although one can get funded from various institutions, banks, when private equities invest, either by way of a fresh investment or by way of transfer of shares of the current shareholders, they bring in a lot of discipline, both in financial reporting, in operations, and efficiencies, and that's always given a big thumbs up in terms of putting some of the best systems and controls. So I'm sure Amit is definitely going to make his plans for investments into your group as well, on a lighter note. Amit, now we have finished the first round. The next round is going to be much more futuristic in terms of what plans each of these individuals and the organizations have. Amit, given the fact that 3,000 crores already assets under management in terms of the various investments that you have made, some of them are traditional, some of them are new, some of them will be technology businesses, some of them will be evolving technology businesses. So tech, and tech. I think this is one of the words in our organization also we keep talking about, tech all the time. What kind of aspirations your organization have? What kind of special benefits organizations would be having on the tech side, if at all your Fireside Ventures have to make those investments? Will they be preferred? What technology kind of businesses would be preferred going forward?
Sure, thanks Khushroo. I think, before I answer your question, a couple of things. I think what has happened over the last decade in terms of technology, future gazing on technology has almost become impossible, right? Just a few months ago, where we thought AI was almost owned by one organization in the world. DeepSeek came and disrupted it overnight. And we've seen the economic impact of that and how AI is now possibly much more accessible to the next generation. And I think technology, it has changed flavor from when the word technology has been started, especially information technology started. It used to be part of a large, deep innovation sort of a function, helping large-scale businesses and enterprises in disrupting. From there on, it moved on to becoming more MSME focused and helping MSMEs scale and do their analytics, etc. Now it has become daily part of our lives, and from here on, it is as fundamental as air, right? Technology is going to be part of everything which we do. I think I would say that technology is at the forefront anyway. So the way we look at things is how a company is able to sort of leverage this, how young entrepreneurs, obviously the established legacy organizations have the capital, have the ability and their teams to be able to do this. But there are several new entrepreneurs who are coming into this phase of building consumer companies and using the new age technology, etc., which is available. But what they potentially lack is capital support. What they potentially lack is they may have a particular strength, but they may not have another strength, right? Like for example, we are on the forefront of ability to build a brand, ability to help a company plan their marketing, ability to be able to help them even in their debt raise, right? Which a lot of family offices have and family businesses have, but new entrepreneurs do not have. That's where I think any firm like Fireside, and especially Fireside, would be able to help these companies, and that is what we will look for: innovation in these companies, how they are able to leverage newer channels to grow, how they are able to see the new consumer evolving much ahead of time and sort of innovate in a way that the new consumer is able to access these companies. A lot of things have changed, right? There were millennials who used to be the biggest chunk of consumers. Now Gen Z has come into the foray where the biggest consumer wallet share is coming out of Gen Z today. They think very, very uniquely. They are very personalized in the way they want to see consumer companies, in the way they want to experience life, etc. It's not value prop driven. The value prop generation is now moved out. Gen Alpha is going to be completely different when they come into play. So I think we will look for companies which are potentially thinking about very, very disruptive ideas and thinking about the consumer of tomorrow. That is what, and I can keep going on, but there's a larger panel here and I would pass on to them.
Thank you. I think the three buzzwords, disruption, evolution of new technologies, and innovation. I think that's the future. Absolutely agree with you. Sheetal, coming to you, we did discuss over a cup of coffee this evening that when it comes to fintechs, about a few years ago, they were hardly regulated, I would say. And people had a lot of freedom. I think we've seen a significant growth of those fintech companies as well. Now that they come under the purview of the regulators, they are being watched, they are being questioned, significant compliances have to be ensured. Do you believe that it will restrict the growth of this fintech? No doubt that it's great to have compliances, but where should the balance be exactly in terms of regulations and growth put together?
Yeah, so I've grown up in the fintech space, right? Over the last decade I've spent in fintech, seen the innovations that have come into being. And I often used to see that, we could look at completely new products, and we used to sometimes wonder that how is RBI allowing this? Oh, really? Can this happen too? And then suddenly we started to see clampdown happening and RBI coming up and putting those, saying that this is not allowed. We have seen this happening to peer-to-peer, etc. Various spaces and all that. So while when any entrepreneur builds it out, it's all about innovation at that time, right? So it's all about where you see that how can I bring a different product and bring growth in the company, and you're building it out for a certain target audience at that point in time. And as a fintech mindset, which is important, is that how are you bringing innovation over there? And most of the fintechs at that point in time were built by people who were coming from technology side, right? So they were more tech fin than they were fintech actually. So they were just providing finance through the tech, but there was no compliance happening, but loosely happening. And eventually we changed our world and started to say, no, we are not techfin, we are fintech. We are the finance companies and we are just enabling tech. That's how the transition happened. And now, people are scared of using the word fintech, and we actually say, we are RBI compliant. We don't use the word anymore, we are techfin, we are fintech. We say we are RBI compliant company when it comes to it. Because, RBI, it's good, and I would say strangulating a little bit from the perspective that innovation stopped. But having said that, it also made us ready to think within the compliance boundaries itself. So now when we think innovation, we say, okay, now I know from the RBI side what is white, what is grey, and what is black. So you see that, okay, what has RBI said, do this, you are allowed to do this, okay, go ahead. As long as you have a strong compliance team in play, you are okay. Will this now go and restrict innovation? Yes, it will. But will we see much more responsible business models coming out from here? Definitely. Because when we ourselves raised funds, first thing was that, oh, you guys have a team of a banker and a fintech. Okay, great combination, because fintech mind is going to think, ahead innovation, and my banker co-founder is always there to pull me back. No, you can't do this. So stop doing this. And which is what we do. We weaved all the things together. But yeah, we always have, I have to go and take approval from him. Can I do this? Will your banker mind allow me to do this? So yeah, so it will be responsible growth in that way is what I see from fintech perspective.
Thank you. I'm not trying to put you in spot, but do you believe that with this compliances, and they will always become more and more rigorous going forward, the general time period within which a fintech or a startup would become a unicorn, do you believe that going forward, will it take more time or less time? Your individual view.
Yes, it will take a much longer time to reach there, because as I said, it is not just about being technology now. It is lot more. So approval of a customer is not such an easy thing happening anymore, right? So what is his, how do you look at the customer? Whether he fits into the criteria of who you should be either lending to or allowing him for cross-border payments, the norms have become much more stringent and all across. I wouldn't say, so because what has happened is with technology, the fraud has also become easier, right? So I was just looking at RBI stats the other day. Earlier we used to have one fraud in 25,000 transactions. Now we have one fraud in 90,000. We have one fraud in every 9,000 transactions. So if this is the kind of stats we are looking at, so naturally, so more and more stringent ways keep coming up, and while technology keeps helping you out with new ways of catching, but remember that compliance is never forward-looking. Compliance is always like, okay, you've just learned that much. In what way the new fraud will happen, you may not have imagined. That what has happened has already happened. So it's always a new way completely. So yes, it will impact.
No, absolutely agree, because I believe that compliances build a robust discipline within the organization, and the organizations become more sustainable. So maybe in its journey to become a unicorn, it may take a couple of years or maybe 3-4 years more, but at least it will be a much more sustainable organization. Thank you for sharing that. Satish, I was tempted to ask you this question earlier. I think everybody knows about the merits and demerits of AI. I mean, to a great extent, I personally believe that it takes away a lot of creative mind out of the individuals. At the same time, there is another school of thought who believes that with AI being in place, your mind can be more creative, maybe your perspective, and how it's going to be deployed going forward.
I think, as you said, AI will have both sides of impact. Effectively, in many scenarios, we are becoming so dependent on this Gen AI LLM. If you talk to many of the people, when they write the mails, they always go back to LLM, get the text and put that into the mail. So this habit of thinking of what to write and what to send, even a simple response to a customer, we end up going back to LLMs, and that will take away the creativity. And I think there will also be a saturation level, right? So LLMs learn from what is there in the overall world. So if there is no net new content, I think it will end up in a situation where we will end up having a saturation in terms of the content itself. So that's one thing. The second is, but there are many tasks which we spend a lot of time to get through the process. For example, if you look at an equity research analyst and they have to read through 200, 300 pages of annual report to come out with data that is required for doing analysis, about 80% of the time of an equity research analyst is spent on reading through and collecting data, and only 20% is spent on analyzing. So if you have to flip that, that time can be spent more on quality analysis than doing mundane manual tasks. So I think it will have both impact, both ways, but my fear is that more and more people will get used to having AI as an alibi or AI as a buddy, that we will lose our own creativity. So as long as we kind of watch out for that and be aware and use it to the extent that we are avoiding the manual task, I think we'll be in good shape.
No, that's great to know. Thanks for sharing. I think you also agree with me that it's both. I mean, there are merits and there are demerits as well. I think the last question to Gappan, yes, we spoke enough about technology, innovation, family businesses. Over a period of time, I'm sure there will be some challenges in general, challenges in the thought process when the baton is given to the younger generation and to the younger generation. Thoughts differ, more of emphasis on technology coming up, more investments to be made in technology, which is fine. But when we are when there are three generations prevailing together in a particular organization, the younger ones also want to build up a great governance framework. They want to build up, although it may be a private organization, they still want to build good governance framework. Somebody independently on the board asking the owners and the management a few questions as well. How is it being perceived by you in particular about the standards of governance that one should have in an organization?
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting question. I think the first thing to understand is the motivation of a family business. It's not to become a unicorn, right? We are typically into industry, you're into real estate by default because you've developed some of your properties. And if you really go to the elders of the family, their motivation is not to make money. Their motivation is to create jobs. And they understand that if they invest their money with a platform like IIFL, they'll make far higher returns. But yet, they choose to continue to invest in the business because they've always been recognized as industrialists, right? So wherever they go, they've been, their legacy is in industry. Now, all of a sudden, they don't know what to do with that identity when they're recognized as somebody from a real estate background, leasing, somebody who has a couple of $1 million portfolio with a fund. So I think their motivations are very, very clear. Another message that's very clearly passed down to me is that we don't sell. We just keep building onto the pyramid and we keep passing it on to the next generation, right? And my job pretty much is just to manage these companies, ensure that they grow, ensure that there's no risk, good market positioning. We add on a little bit of the flavor, in tech in terms of services. But I feel my job today is just to manage this efficiently, not grow this too much too, because then it becomes a big problem. So we don't want to get to a 10,000 crore turnover or anything like that. We're happy at the 500, 600, 1,000. We don't want to dream beyond the 5,000. I think that's too big a problem. As a family too, at some point, today I work as hard as I worked in a startup. But I know it's going to burn out at some time. I'm going to want to spend time with my family, my kids. So our motivations are completely different. And we don't invest too much in tech, right? Our investments are mostly in land, because we believe that even if the business doesn't do well, the land is a hedge.
A moderator and Mr. Rajiv Balani, founder from the Nature Gate Premium Snacks, to kindly walk up on stage to hand over the token of appreciation to all of the eminent panelists here on stage.
Roku means 6. A gin distilled with 6 unique Japanese botanicals harvested at their peak. distilled to embody the blessings of nature. Roku Gin, alive with the best of every season.